Hello everyone and welcome back to your favourite Formula 1 show. Knowing Wheel returns for our second podcast of 2024. Yes, we know we weren't around last week. Jamie decided he'd do what he always does and went on holiday. Whereabouts did you go this time?
Where did I go this time? I went to Geneva, among other places. Mostly in Geneva and in Switzerland. So it was really good fun. But I didn't take my camera and microphone with me this time, so I couldn't add to my growing list of locations filmed in, sadly.
I mean, you were building up a good list.
I mean, this time last week, I was on an Alp with skis on, trying not to injure myself too badly, so this makes a change. It's actually got much better now that I'm talking to Matt.
That might be the most middle-class white thing you've ever said on this show.
Potentially it is. Someone should make a tier list. What's the most middle-class things we've said on this show?
Oh, dearie me. But we're back again, obviously, for another episode. I don't even know what episode we're on, Jamie. It's like 156 or something. We are making our way nicely into the new year. I'm trying to find it out quickly before we
no clue.
Get too far in. Just
your guess is as good as mine.
I reckon we're about 156 in. That's my guess. Let's have a look. No, 154. I'm jumping the gun ever so slightly. But of course, yeah, we're still in the depths of winter. However, it is only 6 weeks until Formula 1 is back in Bahrain. 5 weeks.
That's insane. That
if you count winter
close.
testing.
Wow.
It's not that far away anymore. And of course, we've got all the car reveals. So we've got most of the dates now, haven't we? So they're starting to fill in sort of early February. So far, it looks like Williams and Kick Sauber are going to be the first to release, both on the 5th. Alpine on the 7th, and then Aston Martin on the 12th, Ferrari on the 13th, Merc on the 14th, and Mercedes on the 14th, Red Bull on the 15th even, I should say. Just waiting on McLaren, AlphaTauri, and Haas to confirm, Jamie. Now, which of these, because basically it feels like most of them now are livery reveals, which of these are we excited for?
I mean, the teams that always bait us in with a nice livery are always slightly excited. So Red Bull always do a fairly fun one. In the past, Alfa Romeo have done a launch livery, but obviously this year it will be a really different livery. Probably some sort of green and black is what their social media is hinting at, which should be quite nice. Yeah, I think everyone's going to get baited in and get really excited for a new Ferrari when it's still going to be red, and a new Mercedes and it'll still be silver. It's like, yeah.
Still,
actually,
the Mercedes is still silver.
Yeah,
I was saying, and let's not forget Red Bull have done the same livery for the last 20 years.
Yeah, so there's not really loads of change. Maybe some of the independents, like Williams, can sometimes change it up a bit, but the base colour is still going to be blue, isn't it? So
there's rumours, isn't there, that it's been leaked that their logo's changed for the new year.
Really? What, from a W to something else? An L, maybe?
There's a slight font change on the W, I believe it was. Like, it doesn't cut through the I anymore
so it's
or
like
something.
In 1990, Japan changed their flag.
Oh, yeah, and it's like a slightly different shade of red.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I'm probably most excited for Sauber, because it's going to be something totally fresh. The rest of them I expect to be, by and large, the same. The Ferrari will be red, and I will tweet the same Top Gear clip that I do every year when a Ferrari is released.
Is it green? No,
is
it's
it green?
Red.
No, it's red.
The fact I know exactly that's what you tweet as well just makes me so sad.
I think this will be year number 4 in a row where I've tweeted that.
Probably.
So I tweet so infrequently, it's probably about 10 tweets back at this point.
Yeah, it's all within one scroll. Follow us both on X or Twitter or whatever.
Which one are you most excited for?
Well, I think it kind of depends, doesn't it, as to whether... It depends if they actually reveal their cars or just reveal their liveries, don't they? Because it was another point that we were going to discuss a bit further on in the show, but Mercedes and Ferrari have allegedly now built their cars from the ground up, in air quotes, for 2024. So if they actually reveal the car, then fantastic. But if they only reveal the livery, then that's a bit of a shame. I might also, Jamie, depending on sort of time of day and when all these liveries go live, I might actually live stream like a little watch along for them.
That'd be nice.
You're more than welcome to join me if any of them work.
Yeah, if any of them work in terms of time, then potentially, but we'll have to see about that. Also, did AlphaTauri ever confirm their name? They're something like AT now, aren't they? They're Scuderia Red Bull AT or something.
No, they're Scuderia AlphaTauri RB, aren't they?
RB, okay. So they're not
Because we think
Hugo
it's
Boss.
Racing Bulls. No, nothing like that.
Yeah, Racing Bulls, of course, sorry. So they might have a new livery as well. Although, I doubt it.
I want AlphaTauri / Toro Rosso, to bring back the 2017
That
blue
was
and
so
red
nice.
liveries. They were so good. I like the AlphaTauri ones, to be fair. But
Yeah, I do. The 2021 AlphaTauri is probably my favourite. The dark mode. But the rest of, the 2017-18 Toro Rossos, quality.
they were pretty quality,
Yeah.
weren't they? I mean, the one that I often get stick for, but I think have reliably done pretty good liveries in recent years, and I hate to admit it, it's still Alpine, isn't it?
Yeah,
the
their liveries are
2021
always quite
livery
nice.
was banging.
It was. And even the Renaults, when Hulk drove for them, were fairly nice, to say they were bright yellow.
But
So-
I was staggered a minute ago when you said that black and green will make a good livery.
Well, I don't know if it'll make it good, but it's going to be different, isn't it? It's something,
It'll stand
something
out.
to look at. Yeah, I think whoever designs the Renault / Alpines tends to do a good job. So, and I wonder if they'll go pink again for the start of the season, because they did two races in pink, and then last year they did 3 races in pink. So how far can it go?
Every race, I would quite happily have them do a pink livery all
No,
year.
I prefer the
I
blue
would
one.
like that. No, I like the BWT livery. BWT know how to make a good livery. Shall we get into the big news though, Jamie, of the week, and what is
shall.
probably the title of this video? It's finally happened. To be honest, it's not popular, but we've been saying it for a long time because we know Guenther Steiner has finally been. Well, some have said fired, some have been sacked, some have said left. His contract expired.
His contract wasn't renewed. Yeah.
No, exactly.
Yeah, which is obviously a shame for him. Losing your job's never nice, but there we go. This is a business at the end of the day, and we've been saying it for probably about 9 months that
More than
Haas are going backwards, and there's no real direction or forwards momentum with them at all. So, yeah, it was time to go, to quote Arsenal Fan TV. Yeah, and he has indeed gone, and Drive to Survive is in the mud. It's done. I reckon it'll get cancelled after this season. Probably not. Probably not.
I think it's pretty much run its course anyway, hasn't it? I mean, this was.
Yeah, it's
you're
always the
always
same.
going to talk Drive to Survive when you talk Guenther Steiner.
Yeah.
But I think it is slowly. I think it's reaching its end of life, isn't it?
Because it's basically the same every year now at this point, isn't it?
Well, yeah, and I suppose I know people that will watch Drive. They won't watch the Formula One races. They'll just kind of watch Drive to Survive. So like they care a tiny bit, but not enough
Yeah.
to actually watch the Grand Prix.
I mean, I think while it's profitable, they might as well keep doing it.
Oh, absolutely. They're an American company, like every TV or program Americans do. Until it's no longer profitable, they'll keep churning them out.
Yeah. Saying that with like 25 seasons of all the American sitcoms.
Exactly. This is coming from a man who finally last weekend finished watching Modern Family, and I tell you what, that is a chore towards the end.
Yeah. It feels like every show has a point where you should start watching, to be honest.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, yeah, looking towards the future, obviously Komatsu has now been put in charge. I think it's a good change within the organisation. You know, it kind of is a big enough change that hopefully we'll see has the potential to create quite a different direction, but also isn't too big of a change that people won't quite know whether Guenther was doing a good enough job in retrospect, I think.
Yeah, it's hard to tell, isn't it? I don't think Komatsu's had team principal experience before.
No, never. He's been with Haas since the beginning.
Yeah, self-promoted, like internally promoted, from Haas. So it'd be a good challenge for him. And yeah, it's a difficult one because with all the independent teams, really, they on paper shouldn't be beating a factory team. And because there's so many factory teams effectively now, you've got the top 6 really should be locked off in the championship.
Well,
So you're talking like Williams, AlphaTauri, Haas, and what's the one I'm forgetting? Sauber.
Yeah.
Their best they're going to get is 7th, and like someone's going to finish 10th out of those 4 if all the factory teams do a good job and no one's on a blip like some teams have been in the past, like Alpine or Ferrari 1 year or McLaren for a long time, that kind of thing. So yeah, it is difficult with these independents because you kind of think, what are you here for? I guess you're here for the moments like when you get a pole position into Lagos and such things like
yeah,
that.
absolutely. I mean, obviously, we've always said, haven't we, that AlphaTauri is its own special use case because it's literally a team designed not to win. But, I mean, when you look at the rest of them, though, it kind of feels like we're heading back into an era like the early 2000s. You know, when we're looking at, obviously, you know, at the moment, Aston Martin and McLaren technically aren't factory teams. You can make the argument towards Red Bull as well, but it is.
It is.
You know, we're kind of looking back to, say, like a 2005 or 2006 where you had Ferrari. McLaren Mercedes obviously was still one team that was basically like Red Bull Honda now as a factory team. You had Toyota. You had BMW Sauber getting back in properly, obviously after being BMW Williams, all this, that, and the other. You know, I'm forgetting a couple of other ones on there as well. Obviously, Jaguar back in 2004, kind of obviously with Ford. You know, it kind of...
Renault.
And Renault, yeah, of course. I always forget Renault for some reason. It's kind of always weird, isn't it, now? Because you think, are Haas going to end up basically being a Jordan or a Minardi? And kind of have ran their course. Probably a bit more like Minardi than Jordan, unfortunately, with the success they've seen. But, I mean, we spoke about this, didn't we, at the end of 2021, heading into 2022. And it kind of feels like that conversation has circled back around again, hasn't it? How long do Haas stay on this grid? What's kind of the point?
Yeah, and it's hard to see why. Obviously, Formula One for the teams is probably more profitable now than it ever has been in terms of...
Oh, absolutely. By a long way.
It is good for an American investor to stay on the grid if they can. But if someone comes along with a massive sum of money and is like, sell me your F1 team, is Gene Haas going to say no?
Yes, because Andretti did.
I suppose they did, yeah. So maybe. But it is hard to see what the end game is with independent teams, to be honest, because, yeah, I mean, you're only really here to pick up the scraps when big teams fall out, and you get the odd win, if you're lucky, like a Pierre Gasly or Esteban Ocon or like that kind of thing. Like, what? They're not going to come around very often. You're not going to win championships. You're going to be getting a fun front row start in Canada, which gets robbed away from you and stuff like that. So,
or a pole in Brazil.
Yeah. And fair play, if that's what you want to do, that's what you want to do. But it's hard to get investors and sponsors to get behind a team that isn't making progress.
Yeah, I mean, and this is obviously, it's been quite fascinating, hasn't it? I don't know how much, obviously, you've sort of been keeping up with what Gene Haas has been saying, obviously, over the last week, because it has kind of given us a new insight into the Haas team. But, of course, he's still quite happy with, you know, fronting the cost. He feels it's a worthwhile investment, obviously, because obviously, basically, for Haas, it's just advertising their automation company. You know, in a similar way to Sauber is obviously advertising their automation company. You know, obviously, Williams, it's a little bit less, but still to sort of a similar degree, obviously with a lot more history. And then obviously AlphaTauri, like we said, is just odd in that context. But Haas still, it kind of just feels at the moment like Gene Haas, as long as he can cover the costs each year, and of course that's been made a lot easier because of how much more prize money is awarded, and the cost cap now means you can't get ridiculously overspent by anyone else. If you can then front the rest of the bills with, you know, driver sponsors, that kind of thing, and obviously a few other little bits and pieces, he kind of seems like he's there going, well, I've been able to, 4x the value of my team inside 10 years because I've been lucky that I got in at the right point. The Formula One then just exploded. But it's still just a little bit odd, and you wonder whether the value of those two places on the grid are worth more than the team putting the cars in those two places. Why would someone actually buy Haas other than just to get a seat in Formula One?
Yeah, to get a seat at the table, isn't it, really? Yeah, it's a good question. It's a great question. So, yeah, it's an interesting business, like Formula One, because there's only one winner, and realistically it's going to be one of probably three teams for a long time. And yeah, you see dynasties rise and fall, but really we've had the same team win since 2009. So, or same two teams, sorry.
I was going to say.
Win all the championships since then. So, and Ferrari are always kicking around. They're going to pick up some. But for a team like Alpine, Haas, Williams, you've got to basically drop so much money into you basically got to outspend everyone. And it's impossible now with the cost cap to do that. So it is strange. You just got to have a different... I guess it's a little bit like football, where like functionally, apart from the 1 in 1,000 chance, it's going to be the same.
You get your Leicesters every.
It's going to be one of 4 or 5 teams realistically winning the league, and the rest of the teams are just there to have some fun.
I think like a lot of people are saying at the moment, aren't they? Though Formula One is kind of going the way of IndyCar, in which obviously because it's becoming a more homologation spec series. It's going to make things, or not more homologation, but obviously there's finer margins to work within. It could, you kind of get this horrible moment where, we've probably got a couple more years of probably Red Bull boredom at the top and Red Bull domination. But also that, we kind of saw it more and more this year relative to last year. But teams are going to converge closer and closer in terms of performance.
Yeah.
And, it's whether Gene Haas, obviously, from having that experience, in NASCAR, I believe he's done a bit in IndyCar, but nowhere near the same kind of level as NASCAR, do we just kind of hang around for the next couple of years anyway, and then hope in the future that, it's so wide open that you can snooker away a lucky win here or there, like most teams can now in NASCAR, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
It just is very, very odd, isn't it? Kind of, Formula One is heading down a path that we've never seen before in terms of, and I'm sure obviously, someone like Gene Haas, you'd hope, is far more intelligent than me. And for not a single second am I going to begin to claim he isn't. But can he kind of see this vision in the sport in the future that not a lot of other people can outside of, teams? That means it's going to be easier to be more competitive in the future, and it means that you can actually be looking at as a solely profitable exercise.
Yeah, and if you just, hang on in there until this new rule change where everyone's on the same level playing field with a cost cap and all that, like you wait for 2026 and suddenly it's a open season. Anyone can win races, anyone can win championships. That's probably what they're hoping for. And yes, I wouldn't back Haas to be at the sharp end of the sport in 3 years' time, but you never know. So, like, no one would have said that about Honda in 2007 or 8, would they? So, yeah.
A few people might with Honda. There were rumblings. Still haven't watched the Brawn documentary, I see.
No, I haven't actually, but there you go.
It's odd, isn't it, still? And I think Formula One over the next few years is going to become a lot clearer. But like I said, I think we're really heading into this era, kind of like we did in the early I'm hoping. Like, I think we've kind of learned to appreciate it more and more, haven't we, in more recent years. But when we got back into Formula One, it really went through a golden generation. 6 to 10, 5 drivers from 5 different teams won the championship. That's just insane.
Never really happens.
And then, of course, 11 was obviously dominated by Seb. 12, again, was a fantastic season. 7 winners in 7 races. Then, obviously, we kind of got the Mercedes dominant era, but of course, at least then, it was Hamilton versus Rosberg with the exception of 15 and all this, that, and the other. And even then, you had Ferrari.
Yeah.
It kind of feels at the moment like maybe last year and this year are, say, like your 2002s and your 2004s. Where you got that one team that's kind of dominating. You got this big rule change coming up soon.
You've got a young British driver picking up podiums every week.
Exactly. That will hopefully mix it up again. Will we end up in a point where we get our 2006 to 2010 kind of thing? Because we've absolutely we've got so many drivers that are world championship caliber.
Yeah, exactly.
And
there's so many drivers in so many teams. Like you got Leclerc, Norris, maybe Russell, probably Hamilton, realistically, and arguably Alonso at Aston or whoever comes after him are all capable of winning world championships.
I'm staggered you didn't put Gasly in the mix there, but
I was tempted, but I thought you might tell me off for that one.
I mean, you just feel like I want to. It's obviously winter hopium as well. Before Red Bull just ruin another season with domination.
Well, we've written off 24 and 25 already, so that's fine.
Yeah, to a degree. But we'll wait and see. We really have gone off the train there.
And also, in my head,
I
I wrote off 2021 before it started as well. So
yeah,
who
you
knows?
can get those mad seasons still, can't you? It's Formula One at the end of the day, and it's
anything
why
can happen, and it usually does.
Exactly. It's why, for us, you got to keep coming back. Because oh boy, a season like 2021 again. And I think as time goes on further and further, of course, with the exception of the way it ended, you do really look back at that and go, that was really a sort of once in a, that's kind of a season that has happened only a handful of times. Yeah, 2 drivers on 2 different teams
and the top
in all-out war all year long is incredible.
Insane.
Let's
we are going to do the quiz.
Then. Okay, Jamie's going to interject there with a quiz. I love that kind of leadership.
Oh, thank you. Because we were briefly talking about that we've written off 2024, so I thought, let's not talk about 2024. Let's actually roll it back. Okay. 10 years, a decade.
Yeah.
First year of the V6 turbo hybrid era.
That's mad that we've been listening to these drone on for 10 years, isn't it?
You simply have got 60 seconds. I've just typed 60 into a calculator rather than a timer.
That's impressive.
That's good. To name anyone who raced in 2014 in Formula 1. Go.
Andre Lotterer, Lewis Hamilton, Nico Rosberg, Sebastian Vettel, Daniel Ricciardo, Kimi Raikkonen, Fernando Alonso, Magnussen, Button, Perez, Hulkenberg. Was it Felipe Nasr? No, not by that point. It was Ericsson, Kobayashi, Jules Bianchi, Max Chilton, I believe, was still there. Sauber had Ericsson.
No.
No, they didn't. They had like Van der Gaard or someone.
No,
he wasn't in the car in the end, but he was contracted to.
Quick,
who were the Sauber drivers? Sutil and Gutierrez.
Yep.
What other teams am I missing? Kvyat and Verne.
Yep.
What other teams am I missing,
There's
Jamie?
2 teams that you're missing, and then a couple of other drivers.
Hulkenberg, Perez.
No, you've done them.
Done them.
3.
Oh, Bottas, Massa.
Yeah. Oh, you're right. You missed one team.
Can you give me the team, and I can give you the drivers?
Lotus.
Oh, of course, Maldonado, Grosjean.
Yeah. And the other 2 did like stints of races at backmarket teams.
Mary? Did he race?
No.
Or was that 15? No, it was 15, wasn't it? Obviously, after Jules was killed. I can't remember off the top of my head.
I'm not sure it was. I've written Alex Rossi down, but I think that was 2015, wasn't it?
That was 15.
And the other one, Will Stevens, did a race for
Caterham.
Oh,
Will the Lad Stevens.
Will the Lad Stevens, what a legend.
Jamie.
His team radio after Canada was iconic.
Oh yeah, we love it. I'll be honest with you. That could not have been pretty much a better quiz for me.
What have you been doing recently?
So, this is a fun story. Me and Matt212, as she's become known in my circle, we're watching the Formula E at the weekend. Boring race, I tell you what. It's such a dull way to start the year. And she was like, I only recognised like 3 names from this. It was like Nick de Vries and stuff. And then she basically did what we do to each other and tested me on like random seasons over like the last 15 years. And
She's
2014 was one of them. So I've been very lucky there. I had some practice in over the weekend.
There you go. Well,
are you impressed I got Lotterer first?
I am very impressed. Before Lewis Hamilton, you said Andre Lotterer. I
had to get him in there before I forget.
Yes.
Such a he could have had a proper Formula 1 career, Andre Lotterer. He was
solid, wasn't he? He's a great driver.
He still is a fantastic driver. Let's go on then to our final point of the show. Kind of a couple of points looped into one, isn't it, really? Because it's hot off the press news today when we're recording this. Toto Wolff has, I've just realised I put in the notes resigned, when I actually meant re-signed with Mercedes. Wow. He's had another contract extension, which is hardly surprising, because of course he owns a third of the team.
Yeah, it's quite hard to like not extend the contract of the owner or the part owner. So he's here for another 3 years. I don't know. The current one was up at the end of this year, or was it actually?
No, that's driver contracts.
Oh, okay.
You're looking at
he's there for another 3 years. He's the second longest serving team principal.
He is mad, isn't it? Have you seen that Mike Cracknell is third?
That's insane.
He's been there like 18 months.
Guenther was third, wasn't he, before he...
Yeah, Guenther was third. Yeah, Mike Crack has been promoted to third already, and
That's
been
ridiculous. So Christian Horner has been there since 2005.
Yep.
Toto Wolff has been there since 2014. And then,
13?
Oh, yeah, sorry. 2013. And then Mike Crack is third place. He's been there since 2023.
Just insane.
That is ridiculous. It's probably good for Mercedes. He's obviously, on paper, statistically, one of the greatest team principals of all time, getting 8 constructors in a row, isn't he? So, yeah, good for all parties, I believe. And he's a good character to have on the grid. I do like Toto Wolff. And, sound guy. And Mercedes, hopefully, will be competitive more to Red Bull because,
someone needs
boring.
to be. Yeah. I mean, interesting comment he's come out with today as well, saying the bullet has been let out of the gun, talking about obviously the FIA investigation into him and Susie. So I think this was a contract renegotiation that he's basically said, I am going to be a dick to the FIA if I want to be. And I'll be honest, can I blame him? No.
No, not at all. Did we actually cover that in a podcast, all that drama? I'm not sure we did.
Yeah, we did. Oh, no, at least I remember talking about it. I might have done it on a stream at some point, but yeah, no, I think we did discuss it at some point. Because that was early December, wasn't it, last year?
That was a while ago.
But that was pretty much as far back ago as we are now away from Formula 1 in the new year. If that gives you some hopium.
5 weeks is not a long time. That'd be sweet.
So they've also, though, Toto Wolff, again, hot off the press today, has said that anyone that has been in the simulator has said that the new 2024 Mercedes is, and I quote, vastly different and better than the last 2 cars, and can give... He did say better.
Wow.
And can give Lewis Hamilton world title number 8.
Not George Russell.
It was quite an interesting interview because it was just talking about Lewis getting a world title, not Georgie boy. But yeah, we'll wait and see. Which of course comes just a day after Jake Dennis, who's obviously Red Bull's test driver, said that their new car's over a second of that faster than this year's or last year's car. So everyone's still going to be way behind Red Bull, which is lovely. Ferrari as well, apparently, have built their car from the ground up as well. But
yeah, it's a weird time to be like revolutionising your design.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense for Mercedes and Ferrari, because let's be fair, whether you finish 2nd or 3rd or 7th or 8th, it's not going to change things long term. You may as well just try and throw something at the wall like Merc did with the Zero Side Pod concept and see if it works. But basically now, it'll be, who can we hire that is Adrian Newey?
Yeah, there needs to be another one. Can we clone him or something?
I'm staggered Red Bull haven't just, rather than spending money on a second driver over the last few years, haven't just cloned Verstappen.
Yeah, that would be great. Yeah, and just give, I reckon the FIA should implement a rule where, Adrian Newey has to change team every, 3 years.
Adrian Newey gets put on shuffle.
He just has to go around and help other teams out, because when he stays with one team too long, yeah.
Well, do you want to know what's mad if Red Bull had cloned Verstappen this year? Hamilton would be an 8-time world champion.
What, because they would have crashed into each other
every single race?
It probably, neither would back down ever, would they? So
No.
There you go. Alonso would have had about 40 wins.
He would, yeah. It'd be fantastic. It would have been, there we go. What an odd note to round out the show on. Jamie, have we got anything else to add? Is there anything going on in the Twitter sphere? Or the X sphere, I suppose we've got to call it now, or something?
Not that I can... Not that I can see, sadly not.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, thank you all as always so much for listening. If you have enjoyed, please do make sure you drop a sub. Remember, 2024, the year of no wheel. If we reach 10k subs, or it doesn't have to be this year, but hopefully it will be. If we reach 10k subs, we will try and visit every European F1 factory inside 24 hours on an epic road trip that we will bring to you guys as well. So yeah, thank you all as always so much for listening, and we'll be back very soon with more Knowing Wheel.